Okay, Gary, so here's Chandler, and he's pitching here from the windup, but we'll just get him up into a stretch. So as he kicks the leg up, you'll notice that there's not too much forward momentum, and we know that most of the high velocity guys are going to move their body down and out uh, pretty quickly as their leg is coming up. So typically with a guy, guys who are smaller in stature, lighter in weight, they need to get more momentum and more body moving, the mass of their body moving sooner and a little bit quicker to give them more advantage getting into front foot so that they're actually striking front foot with some more force. So he gets up and then he takes a little time to get going. You'll notice here as he gets the leg down, now he starts to shift off. So he's got a little bit of a late start. I'd like to see a little bit more aggressive push in the beginning, not too aggressive, but just enough to get the body going. Okay, so let's see how he loads the back leg now after he shifts his weight. He shifts his weight about here. So this would be considered the load, and that's when the back leg is holding all the weight. The weight's all down on the foot, the heel's down, and the front leg is striding out. What he does nicely here, though, is he keeps this back knee in torsion, and that's the idea that you're keeping that knee out um, instead of it caving in too soon. But let's see how that plays out as he goes down. So as he loads, he just kind of uh, bends a little bit. Probably could get a little bit more flexion in the knee. Not too bad, but in this load here, it kind of looks like he's reaching with the front leg more than anything. So instead of him continuing to drive the hips out and moving the entire center of his body out, it more of the line looks as if he's just reaching with the front leg. And let's see if there's any leg drive. So at this point here, after he loads, he's going to now transfer into his leg drive. And I just don't see too much power coming out of that leg. I like how his knee does stay out, though, in that torsion where the knee is facing towards shortstop, not caving in. But from this position, this is where we want to see a good, powerful kick of the ankle, kicking that ankle through, really activating those and firing the calf and the quad and the hamstring into front foot. But we don't see too much of that. We see, and you can tell by his foot, look at where his toe is touching the ground. He's already put down here, and his toe is still on the ground, which means he still has weight down here on the foot. And you don't want that. You want this leg to be completely extended and the knee turned all the way down and the foot turned all the way down like this. But he's just kind of popping the heel up. So there's no drive there. It's just more of a leg reach. And then after that leg reach, there's a little tiny bit of a kick, but not nearly as much as he can get. And then he just puts down. And you notice how when he puts down, because there was no drive, there was no forces really coming forward, he doesn't really get the hips to elevate and deposit his front leg out further. So his front leg is very vertical as he lands. And I'll just measure that out for you. So not only is his back foot still down, but his front foot lands and he's at an 89, almost a 90-degree angle. And that's not conducive to producing forces off the ground because the front part of the foot here, the front part of his body, is going to kick energy up through the ground to the front hip. And it works better if the leg is more extended. So because of that lack of back leg drive, he just kind of drops the front leg at a very vertical angle. And when that front foot lands, this is where we want to see separation. And you can tell that his hip here hasn't separated at all from his shoulder, and his hips are still pretty much closed. When that front foot lands, we really want to see that hip in that position and the shoulder still back here. But as you can see, the hip's going to move, the shoulder's going to come together, so there's really zero degrees of separation there. There's not much going on. I do like the way he counter rotates. So if you watch his front arm, as he strides out, he tries to get separated. He tries to keep the shoulder back and his trunk from moving too soon by counter-rotating, but that will only work if he's powering through the back leg. We want the counter-rotation of the upper body can complement the power of the back leg to get more separation, but ideally you want to power the separation through the extension of the back leg and the extension of the hip. So when we talk about that triple extension, we're talking about the ankle, the knee, the hip, all firing just before front foot strikes so that the body is completely opened here and the chest is still back here. So let's see how his power converts up the chain once he's transferred to the front leg. So let's take a look. Let's get him out to full external rotation, which is about right there. Full external rotation is when the arm lays back, and he's not really laid back to 90 degrees. Actually, I mean 180 degrees. He's more around the lines of 155. So we also look to see the trunk angle at this position at full external rotation. Trunk angle is pretty high. Not terrible, 69 degrees. Had he had more power from the backside and a better bracing up of the front side, that trunk would be somewhere out here more, which would deliver that arm at a higher speed. So when he lands the front foot, let's take a look at the bracing of the knee. Okay, so if I were to put a line right about here, let's see if that knee continues to cross it. Yep, so he's probably losing a couple of inches there, and he doesn't get any kickback. Well, he gets a little bit of a kickback just before ball release, so he does get to some added forces there to the arm, but just a little late, just a little late. And his arm comes up nicely above the ear, so his arm does abduct nice, and he has decent internal rotation at the end, the pronation of the hand, which takes a lot of stress off the elbow. So overall, if we back this up, he just needs to get a little bit more explosive from the backside at the right time. He needs to work on his load and getting those hips out, getting the body out sooner, getting a little bit more explosive and dynamic in the backside, and then that will help lift his body up just a little bit and extend his stride, so his stride has a lot more energy. And I think he's going to be okay. I mean, everything else looks pretty good. Glove hand. I mean, he's got some early trunk rotation. So this is, once the front knee braces up here, which is about right here, this is where we measure hip and shoulder separation. And we take a look at where the shoulders and the hip is. But look at how much he's already into trunk rotation. So he's an early trunk rotator, so he's got a lot more velocity in him still. When he gets down to it and works on this program, that's what this 3x velocity program is designed to do. It's designed to improve the triple extension, the loading of the back leg, the power, the explosiveness, converting that into hip and shoulder separation, and then converting that into nice chest thrust. So, when he's here at full external rotation, his chest is out, near his knee, or at least maybe even beyond the knee. So I hope that helps you out. I'll talk to you soon.